write more than one cause in one age, suppose for the example you gave peritonitis, the patient has to write because actually of septic shock. Say peritonitis leading to septic shock. So can we write peritonitis with septic shock?
No ma'am, actually not. The single shock, the single cause should be written. We should understand one thing very clear, that these causes will be sent to a statistical person. He is a non-medical person. So he will not be able to understand actually what to write. That's why I told you, if suppose at the time you want to know if peritonitis with septic shock, so we have to see if this kind of entry is there in ICD-10. If it is not there in ICD-10, so that person will get confused. So at that time, what we suggest is that suppose we want to know peritonitis with septic shock can it be entered in this MCCD certificate or not, what we generally do is we put it in this software and we try to find out that if I write this kind of cause, would that non-medical person would be able to get the code, because code is not written by us, code is written by that person. So what we do is we put this peritonitis with shock over here, and if we get as ICD-10 code, so we can be sure, okay, that statistical person will understand it, he will put it in this, he will get an idea, and ICD-10 will be allotted. So it's always better that we should write only the single cause for this.
Because of terminal defect in most cases it's either heart failure
Yes,
or shock.
or shock, definitely.
Shock also, either it be clear that in shock we don't need to mention.
Yeah, because that's the only thing, madam. The only thing which we should understand is that entry is to be done by a person who is a non-medical person. And whatever we write, he'll copy paste it there and he'll try to find out the ICD-10 code and then mention it.
So
Or else one more line can be added.
But in that case you can add one more line, but again the uppermost line they are going to take for the immediate cause for coding.
I would like to share my experience in house and no objection.
Yes. Sorry? Yes, definitely sir.
Very good morning to all of you. I think first of all we should be thankful to the Department of Community Medicine, Hospital for Community Medicine. The reason is that as far as death certification is concerned, we are only exposed to this part only during our MBBS. Unfortunately, there is no streamlined training program for all of us. The only exposure which I had during my MBBS was only that community Parks book where I had read that. After that, there was no exposure. I joined my MD and started filling death certificates without knowing whether whatever I am doing is right or wrong. And fortunately or unfortunately, my MD thesis was on pediatric death certification. The title was Errors in Filling Pediatric Death Certificates. And since my guide was from social pediatrics, so I published this data in Journal of Tropical Pediatrics also. Just to sensitize more, I observed more than 1400 death certificates over a period of 1.5 years. It was 19 months. The retrospective data collection was in the year 2006, where I have seen, I think, reviewed around 800 to 900 death certificates, and rest 500 I had done prospectively of year 2007. And the classification which Dr. Punka showed you regarding the type of errors, this was basically a Canadian classification, which is, I think, most of the people are using. They have divided the errors into major and minor, 3 major and 3 minor. So, can you just imagine what was the number of percentage of errors in retrospective data? Any rough guess?
78%.
In PGI, the figure was 97.5%. That was the error rate. And the reason I have already told you, because no one is trained. We just start doing exercise without actually knowing what is right and what is wrong. And I felt that even those 2.5% which were right, those must have been by mistake. It was not an intention that those were filled right, but by mistake they were filled right. To me it looks like that. Since most of those certificates are filled by junior resident and they are countersigned by the senior resident, and most of the deaths occur in emergency settings, so where we know that both the JRs and SRs are running after the care of the patient, so there is lack of time. So that is also one contributing factor. So when we collected that data, so it was a very alarming figure that in PGI it was 97.5% in Advanced Center of Pediatrics, ABC. So then we discussed this issue with our head of the department, and since it was a both prospective and retrospective data collection, so then there was a sensitization among all the residents, including consultants, that some data has been analyzed and it is showing such an alarming figure. So there was an indirect sensitization to everyone. So people started filling death certificates more closely, and to help them out, I, with the help of my guide and one person from the Department of Community Medicine and Pediatrics, PGI. So we took 2 sessions just to sensitize it, and by giving only examples, no theory, only taking multiple examples to show that what is right and what is wrong. And then what we found that there was only 2 sessions which were held. And the second thing which we did to improve this was that we used to have statistical meets or mortality meets in our department every week. So there we used to present 2 cases. So at the end of each case, there used to be a lot of grilling regarding that what was the problem. So we used to present the death certificate which was filled by the doctor on duty. So that was another fear factor. So whenever a person fills that death certificate, it happened that they started calling me on phone. Neeraj, baby is expired or the patient is expired. What should be the underlying cause? What should be the immediate cause? That was exciting. And because of the fear factor that if this case comes in the mortality meet, they will display their death certificate and I know. Sorry. Absolutely right. I'm still in the habit of calling myself. Sorry for that. It's MCCD. So, our head of the department, Dr. Singh, is a very strict person. So he used to scold me badly. So that was another fear factor. And then we tried to analyze the data, prospective data which we collected over a period of 7 months. And I think in that error rate was somewhere around 76%. So which means there was reduction. It was also statistically significant when we tried to do tricycle question and saw that. So this was one part just for the sensitization. Second is, can we go to the slide of?
Yeah. Which one, sir?
We have shown it as among the errors, classification mistake. This one. So, among the entries which were made in that MCCD, the classification was like major errors and minor errors. These are the 3 major errors. First is mechanism of death listed without an underlying cause. Actually, what happens that as a resident or as a doctor, we always confuse 2 things. One is mechanism and one is underlying cause of death. And the reason is because suppose I have a patient, let's say I have a 1-year-old child who walks into my OPD and I found that clinically the child has pneumonia. I admit this patient in pediatric ICU. And now the disease worsens, we put him on ventilatory support, then he developed septic shock. Ultimately, in that process, he may develop some electrolyte imbalance, hyperkalemia, hypokalemia, developing ventricular tachycardia. We treat accordingly, try to correct. And unfortunately, we couldn't save the baby, patient dies. So what happens that during the clinical discussions or round discussions, what happens that the major focus of discussion is on what has led to what and what you did for shock, what was the inotropes, how much you escalated, what was the time taken, what you did for, why the hyperkalemia occurred, why, what was the dose of which we gave for ventricular tachycardia. So the major focus of discussion is on these issues which are actually the mechanisms. Because we know that the diagnosis was very clear, it was clear-cut community acquired pneumonia. So the focus of discussion when we are treating the patient is on all those mechanisms. Whereas we have to, as Dr. Pulkar rightly pointed out, in fact 2 or 3 times, that here the information which we are putting in MCCD is basically for the stats people, because they have to devise a policy depending on which is the most common cause of death. So if they feel that diarrhea or community acquired pneumonia is the most common cause of death under 5 children, so the money of the government will be shifted towards that. They are not interested in what is septic shock, what is hyperkalemia. The person who is sitting there, he doesn't know anything about all this. He will go to this ICD book, he will say, okay, community acquired pneumonia, this is the ICD classification, this is. And that information will be analyzed by the government of India. So in my study which I did,
excuse me,
yes, sorry.
May I interrupt? But then, as Dr. Pankaj mentioned, that in Form 2, the cause of death should be mentioned as the underlying cause, right? Say for example, you gave the example of diabetes, like uncontrolled diabetes. And the cause of death should be mentioned as chronic ischemic heart disease, leading to myocardial infarction, isn't it? Yeah. But the stat people, stat person, statistician there will write only immediate cause.
No, actually it's 2. Immediate and underlying both. Underlying cause are actually meant for the preventive medicine people, or you can call it as a preventive strategy which Government of India can apply. because this underlying cause lead to sequence of event which led to this immediate cause. So that means two causes are important. So statistical person who is sitting in the chamber will always write two things. One is the immediate cause. The immediate cause is very easy to pick up because that is the uppermost line. But when it comes to the underlying cause will be the lowermost line of 1. This is again, Government of India always asks what was the underlying cause, which event started this entire death process. So if we look at here, so if I say here in this case, he will pick up this as an immediate cause and he will put this as an underlying cause. So the lowermost point from where the entire sequence started is very important for government, and this is also very important for government. So this is immediate measure, this is the underlying.
1A, 1B, 1C.
1A and 1C. So whatever be the last point, you will take that. So the last
So just to highlight the major errors which we actually do without actually analyzing what is happening is mechanism of death listed without an underlying cause. So many times we see in the death certificates what is mentioned: cardiopulmonary arrest, respiratory failure, septic shock. These are not to be written. Not to be written. Strictly banned, because a patient can have septic shock because of thousands of reasons. So ultimately this information doesn't help the person who is sitting at the vitals office. Second is improper sequencing. This is another common cause. The reason is because we should always, when we write something, we always move from up to down. So when we fill death certificate, we also, instead of reading what is underlying, what is immediate, we start writing from top to bottom instead of writing bottom to bottom. So that's why this is another very common cause, improper sequencing.
They should reverse the columns.
Yeah, they should.
I don't know, sir, somehow the
Actually,
certificate is like that.
yes.
NCD is like that.
So actually whenever in chronology also, when in history taking also we fill like this only in a chronology. So the same kind of thing we there was like chronology is this kind of thing.
Where it is reversed.
Yeah, that's why in history taking we reverse the
I don't know, sir, but somehow
Yes.
it's like that. And third is competing cause, which is usually is less common type of error. In my study, it was the improper sequencing, which was not exactly, which was the most common, somewhere to the tune of around 60%. And which was followed by mechanism of death without the underlying cause, and then followed by the competing cause. Then we have minor errors. In minor errors, there are two most common errors, which one is the abbreviations. Like suppose instead of writing cognitive acquired pneumonia, I write CAP, or for acute gastroenteritis or diarrhea, I write AGE. Because as I said that most of the deaths are occurring in the emergency where you are running short of time, and again there is a careless attitude, both leads to these type of errors. Second is absence of time intervals, which is again like when we fill death certificate, we have to, as was directed by Dr. Pankaj. So this column, interval between somehow, I think there is some problem, there is a separate column here, interval between the onset and death. And if someone has any confusion, you can read that if less than 1 day, age should be, this time should be mentioned in hours. If less than 1 month, it should be in days. If less than 1 year, it should be in complete months. And if 1 year, then this interval also is to be filled in this session.
We can write it in here. Actually, it's a general rule in statistics also. If anything is less than 1 year, we should always mention it in term of months. If it is in less than 1 month, we should put it in days. So it's a statistical rule actually. So if it is less than 1 year, we should always use months. So that is something.
So I think in mine was the most common was the absence of time intervals, because we just write the causes without actually writing the intervals, followed by the abbreviations. The third is mechanism of death followed by legitimate underlying cause of death. The example which Dr. Daisy just raised actually falls into this error, because we are writing strangulated femoral hernia and then peritonitis followed by septic shock. So that comes into this category of error where we are writing both mechanism as well as the underlying cause of death.
Here, will you fill the form of community acquired pneumonia, ventilator, electrical and syringes?
You have to just mention this thing.
First in column 1, second.
In that case, what needs to be put is here in this column you have to put just community acquired pneumonia for whatever 4 days, 5 days, 6 days. Nothing else to do.
Yes. That is all. That is all.
That's it.
Because like
Until
Mode of
you say
dying
that
is not to be
suppose
mentioned.
this patient was improving, later on he developed healthcare associated infection or nosocomial infection, which was maybe central line associated or bloodstream or ventilator associated pneumonia. Then you may write here community acquired pneumonia, then you can write hospital acquired infection or healthcare associated infection. That's it.
See, if he's got pneumonia and a patient with a diabetic, then you have to write.
Diabetes, then you become the
Then you write it into
associated
diabetes.
cause. Diabetes becomes the associated cause.
Diabetes doesn't directly lead to cause.
Yeah.
So anything which is not directly,
Actually, it is to fill these certificates in pediatrics. It is simple because most of the time these chronic diseases are not very
Yeah.
In adults, the things are more dicey.
Yeah, but actually, sometimes, like for example, it is an accidental injury. Accidental
It's
injury.
that of the ICD book. Can you go into that?
Okay.
Go to the internet, like,
So yeah, that
No, not that. The other one. No, next. Yeah.
this is some of the incomplete receptions.
This is, I think, very old, outdated.
You
There's
see-
nothing like A1, and
It's like anemia. Variety is primary, cause is secondary. I don't understand this, what this means.
Variety if there are multiple things.
What is primary anemia?
So they say that they have given some code for the primary anemia.
No, there is nothing called primary anemia.
That means that's
so like right is a hemolytic anemia.
hemolytic anemia and
Type of the recent
अच्छा, incomplete
So during my emotion, one case has come.
sorry, excuse me. Yes.
During emotion, one case has come. So 18-year-old boy comes 7 days before with history of sore throat. I auscultate, no evidence of pneumonia, I prescribe antibiotic. After 7 days, again come. This high-grade fever with choking sensation in throat. In 1 to 2 hours, he died. During resuscitation, we find some membrane-like on tongue. So in this case, what is the first cause leading to death? Should we write sore throat?
Type 1 and type 2, so very, very different body.
7 days back he come with complaints of sore throat, mild fever, no evidence of pneumonia. On the day of death, he came with same complaint, high-grade fever and some choking sensation in throat. During we start antibiotic and all that, but in 1 to 2 hours he died. He had severe respiratory choking type sensation. We start resuscitation. After we saw during resuscitation some membrane-like structure in his throat. Then what should be the first cause of death, leading and associated? How will?
No, but that is the thing, doctor. That's the most important thing. What was the cause of death? So, cause of death must be mentioned by the. First of all, what do you feel as a doctor was the cause of death in that case?
to be
pediatric
acute
case?
epiglottitis.
Huh?
Acute epiglottitis.
Okay, so that has to be written because that is the purview of a clinician. What he thinks, Sir,
In this situation, what I think, what was the age of the patient?
18 days here. 18 years. Okay, he's an adult case.
Again, if we talk of these conditions that are acute epiglottitis, this is usually not the age where we see it, but as you saw that you said that there was some evidence. So it may be that the possibility of diphtheria should be
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Because diphtheria is known to present with similar
With this
presentation.
choking?
The only point is one may argue that it is 18 years, but we know that now because of
Sir,
immune levels are decreasing. So in that situation, suppose if you are sure it was diphtheria, then you automatically write on the topmost that it was diphtheria. Okay, suppose you are not sure, you have some other differential diagnosis which you clinically feel that was more relevant than clinical diphtheria. So you write that, counsel the family for the autopsy, because autopsy will give you the final diagnosis.
So that is
There
very
always a
important.
provision.
Is very-
There is always a provision.
No, but actually, sir, this is what the things are. The pathology people will always help in getting the exact diagnosis. So we wait for this.
It should be first is epiglottitis
Form has to
and
be
then
filled
single diphtheria.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Because
saying.
diphtheria has
There is
so
always-
many causes can cause. So acute epiglottitis, that is obstruction, is having choking, And
It's right to this.
because epiglottitis is very.
But that one thing which is very clear is that there is no hurry of getting the cause of death. If suppose that is to be ascertained after getting a report from a pathology department, so one can wait till the pathology. So because this,
What he says is now, how is going to fill this A, B and C as part B? That's what his question is.
See, there is no part 2 here.
Can somebody, forget part 2, somebody tell him what is going to be A, B and C. That is what he wants to know. And the issue is that
In some situations, you might have single cause. Immediate and underlying cause can be single. So you can write on A line, that is all.
But in that case,
So you will write what, T zero and 9A, that's all.
no, if the cause, it will be
A, what should
B.
be written in A?
No, if
What
suppose
will that
it's
say? Sir, here only dictyria will be written on topmost column, rest will be left.
Right.
18
Right.
years.
May not cause
18 years.
May not cause diarrhea.
Pharyngitis tonsillitis has at least 4 or 5 differential forms.
That's what I'm saying, you can.
So shall we wait for that, or shall we just write
There
membranous
is always a
tonsillitis or membranous
provision,
pharyngitis?
suppose even if you have written the wrong diagnosis, you are waiting for the autopsy report. Suppose the autopsy shows that the cause of death was something else.
Suppose they are not.
Then there is always a limitation. Then you can't help it.
One more thing I want to ask, like if you consider recent death in our ICU, patient had a MDR, multi-resistant tuberculosis, he had a community-acquired pneumonia, got admitted in ICU, then he developed ARDS, and due to hypoxia and shock he died. Now in this scenario, what would be the number one, part one, A, what would be the A? Is it ARDS, community-acquired pneumonia or MDR?
No.
No, that's a thing for your CPC now.
Even the.
Because
one
the
of the
ARDS
important-
is itself is a diagnosis.
One of the important thing is that ultimately the diagnosis, the post-mortem analysis, how they are writing the diagnosis in the post-mortem report, that becomes very important. So it is helpful for the hospital death. But what happens if the death occurs at home? Or if it is occurred sometimes back,
Sir,
6, 7 days
if
back.
suppose that is in this home, and I am a treating, I am just a declaring physician. I need not to fill this MCCD form. I just declare it with form 2. So usually it is done this way for deaths usually occurring at home. Because otherwise you will always ask the patient to go for a transfer, and then only the death, the cause of death can be settled.
We had seen a case where patient had a pelvic fracture, and then we take him to the hospital, he's dying out. Such cases, road traffic accidents,
The cause of injury, or like for example you said sir, accidents or road traffic accident. So it will again be here, road accident will again be here. See, which lead to what? Maybe embolism or something led to this death. So that would be the...
just hemorrhage.
So again sir, if suppose we are not certain that what was the cause of death, we have to wait for the autopsy. So then only by clinical this expertise or what a clinician finds the most appropriate, he will mention that. No, it's not under RTA. It's a confidential document.
Because you write that this is a surgical program or a complication or so further.
It's not under RTA.
Tomorrow somebody say a question and say that this is.
Sir, actually, what the RTI people say that RTI is just to get an information. So if anybody wants information, it can be disclosed. But to the immediate relative, because it's a confidential document. Yeah.
And say that negligence, please give me the
Cause of death.
MCCD certificate, and you write because complication because as a result of
As a surgery,
septic
yes.
catheter, complication because of surgery.
No, as far as
Because of leakage from anastomosis leading to septicemia or peritonitis.
Definitely. But sir, as far as I remember, all these confidential documents in hospital, they are not under RTA.
And they are
Because that's RTI information नहीं आप एफिलिएट पर जाओ फर्स्ट अथॉरिटी पर appropriate authority पर वहाँ से usually because it's a confidential document to be disclosed to diseased family.
Disease family.
नहीं disease family को cause of death नहीं जाना. तो cause of death is to be to the statistical office. उसको तो सिर्फ एक death report जाना. So or we call it as death slip. So it is not to be submitted.
So I think this leads to the text that when we have a CPCs, we can add the mortality during the CPC. So we can have a next presentation, divine mortality, we can discuss that.
There will be 2 deaths.
So we do it this Friday or next Friday for the CPC?
Next Friday.
Next, if there is a time to do it.
There have been two. Who are the consultants who did? One was pulmonary.
Who is the primary person?
Two mortality जो ICU two mortality who was the TTC?
एक तो HIV patient का, no the TT consultant. Both connected through medicine. Both medicine department. But the diagnosis is not certain. If old age person brought in and not suspected gastroenterologist. We don't know whether it is cerebrovascular accident, whether it is cerebral and patient dies within 2 hours. How it is known? The diagnosis is not established.
Sir, again, in that case, only Form 2 is to be filled, and again you have to wait for the pathology because.
I mean, no, autopsy will not be done most of the cases.
In most of the cases, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So, what you at the time clinician setting the cause of death, they will release it. Because for postmortem, you again have to ask the family if they want this postmortem to be done or not.
So, the cause was uncertain.
Cause was
uncertain.
uncertain.
Whether this was thrombus emboli, cerebrovascular accident, or a circulatory collapse. We do not.
No, but we cannot leave the one in.
What is to be but the diagnosis not established. Patient was brought.
But the most probable, sir, the most probable diagnosis, whatever is the most probable.
Shall we put query?
No, query cannot be. Query cannot be. But that is
the patient had a chest injury, the patient also had a head injury. All we know is that we were resuscitating, we had been able to diagnose a possible pelvic fracture. We have not been able to do any radiology. So how in this condition do we mention a cause of death?
When it is not possible to ascertain the cause of death, it is better to go for autopsy. If
not
relatives, then probable cause can be
which
written, but
government
you
says
cannot
is
write
as per a clinical, your expertise. What do you feel is the most probable cause of death? You mentioned just
cannot be ascertained. How can you
One another,
even then,
one document.
Yes.
One document is given by WHO, which is known as verbal autopsy form. So there is a standardized criteria for ascertaining the cause of death in such situations. If the death was occurred not in front of you, it is occurred at home. So there is a verbal autopsy form, which is standardized for Indian situation also. It is available on the WHO site.
So that's in that case of verbal.
Yeah, we can.
Because verbal autopsy always depends on the what patients are taking.
Patient could have died because of head injury, because of chest injury.
So there is a form, a standardized form is there. You can ascertain the cause also by interviewing.
Sir, in that case also, as sir says, there is a lot of bias for verbal autopsy also because verbal autopsy depends on what patient is telling you. So again, the thing is on.
strong medical legal aspect to it. Some smart person will see that okay, I am not happy with this hospital. Let us make some money for the patient. The cause of death has been written as, let's say, pelvic fracture, or even if it is not pelvic fracture, it is written as cardiothoracic trauma. Then we do not know what was the cause of death. Patient may have been multiply injured, but somebody comes and asks, files a case against the hospital that this is something which is very treatable. How did my patient die? There has been a negligence on your part. The patient has been in your hospital for 2.5 hours, and how did he die? This is a very treatable cause. So it's an absolute grey area what to mention.
There are grey areas, actually there are grey areas for this.
Suppose do you issue a accessibility at that point of time?
Patient को तो हमने सिर्फ we have given that
Example, Sunanda Gussel's qualities. Murder, or yet we don't know. Now, what would the doctor write? Because autopsy has to be done to ascertain the. So immediately do we issue a report?
We have to wait for the results of the autopsy.
In death
We
report,
cannot
yes. We
So
can.
this is what they're saying, this is just an internal exercise for statistics, for legal purposes.
Yes.
And for getting your records straight to formulate national policies. Nothing to do with that.
Nothing to do. Because that is something which we keep
What you
in
tell
our
the patient
hospital.
is the cardiorespiratory arrest.
Yes, it's always there is a workshop.